Today on the channel we're reviewing this 2024 Impreza RS thanks to our friend Matt's camera on Instagram and soon to be YouTube, as well as his website, which links to all of them will be in the description of this video, so definitely check him out. Anyways, of course we have a 6th generation Impreza here today. I formerly actually owned an 08 Impreza, not an STI or a WRX, and of course they've gotten rid of both of those into their own separate model, which the WRX is really the only one that continues on, with the STI being phased out in the last generation. You know, here today we have the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated boxer engine paired to a CVT transmission, and this was really Subaru's attempt to bring a sport type to the Impreza, which really needed it after they got rid of the WRX hatch. So these Impreza RSs start at $29,000 MSRP. Of course, that's a lot of money for the Impreza, and you really have to think about what you get in this thing. So you have the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated boxer engine, which is exclusive to the RS trim as far as Imprezas go. And it does add about 30 horsepower comparing it to the base engine, which is a good upgrade. But I think what really people are desiring in these Imprezas is a 6-speed manual transmission. I think that would definitely be the icing on the cake, but we're gonna see how this CVT handles things. As far as features, we do have a leather-wrapped steering wheel. We do have 2 drive modes, which is Sport and basically iDrive, Intelligent Drive, which essentially puts you in a drive mode depending on how you're currently driving. Whether you're, kind of being a little gentle on the throttle, it'll put you into eco mode. If you're aggressive, it'll throw you into sport, which we will do now, which they just call S-Drive. When this engine does rev out, power comes on, 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Not a lot of power, but you do have a 3,200 pound curb weight, which does, account for something. I mean, modern cars, they just keep getting heavier and heavier. I mean, I think of my Mach-E all the time, which is 5,600 pounds. I mean, that's not light by any means. While we're stuck behind some slow traffic, let's talk about some features. So we have blind spot monitoring, powered mirror, auto-dimming headlights. You do also have these nice fog lights, which honestly I think add a lot to the character for this car. And these LEDs look good with the crystal white pearl paint too. For RS design characteristics, they did include this black trim that runs across the bottom of the car. They do have these 18-inch black alloy wheels, and of course these red brake calipers, giving you a nice sport design, but honestly, in my opinion, not the power to back up that design. My friend Matt here, who generously loaned the car out to us for the review, he made a good point where they really didn't include any sort of design in the front and the back of the car, which I think would add a lot. Maybe like a black front splitter would definitely do wonders for this car. And then maybe a nice sport exhaust too. I mean, you're not gonna get one that'll be valved for this price point. I mean, I can't think of any car under $30,000 with the valved exhaust, but it would be nice to have a little more character, a little more rumble from this 2.5 liter naturally aspirated boxer. So that aggressive styling from the RS does continue onto this interior where we have these cloth seats, which are, patterned with black in the middle, and then they have these red accents, which are nice. And then of course our gauge cluster is full analog, which I do appreciate because, I mean, you basically have digital dashboards for, basically every modern car, but, Subaru stuck with the analog gauges. They do have a little digital screen in the middle, which will show you some car information, but really, I mean, all I need is my tachometer and my speedometer. And of course, we have our shining bright lane keep assist button off, because who the heck drives with that? And then we also do have wireless Apple CarPlay. We have this giant infotainment screen. It's of course touch too. Very bright in daytime too. I didn't get the opportunity to drive this specific car in daytime, but I have had this screen in that Outback we reviewed, a few months ago. So I have had some experience with the Subaru infotainment, and it's all pretty good. We do have our HVAC controls here on the bottom, but we do have physical ones as well to turn up the heat. And then we have physical buttons for our heated front seats, which we have up here. I will note that the electronic one, our driver's seat here is electronic, but our passenger seat has manual adjustments. Yeah, so you can see your throttle input here. You can also see oil temp and water temp, which just says norm, which I'm assuming for water temp that just means coolant. And then if you press this here, you have weather information. Kind of nice to have if you're not looking outside and seeing what the weather is. Or if you haven't been out of your car all day, maybe you don't know what the current temperature is and you've been blasting your AC the whole time. Who knows, right? So on our leather wrap steering wheel, which I will say the shape is quite ergonomic, like it really conforms to your hands, right on 10 and 2. And you do have lots of physical buttons here, such as changing your radio, hanging up and picking up calls. You have your volume controls on the left-hand side, and then the right-hand side, it's adaptive cruise control. And then, of course, your drive modes, as well as a lane follow button here, right? Is this one a lane follow button?
I believe so, or a pace setting button.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have no clue what that one does.
I think it's lane follow, but you must only be able to activate it.
At a certain speed?
Yeah, or maybe on the highway. And then adaptive cruise control, which I always appreciate, especially on long road trips where you can set it to a certain distance and the car will automatically keep it in front of you. I will say I did use the Subaru Outbacks and I felt like it was a little jerky. Like it would be quite late to braking when cars in front of me start to brake, and then the Outback would just jab on the brakes, and it was quite, you know, unrefined on road trips. And I hope they improved it in this 2024 Impreza, because the one I drove, the Outback, that was a 2023 model. And then last but not least, on our steering wheel, we do have paddle shifters. So it's basically just simulated gears. Really at that top end is when you get all your power, right about 5,500 to 6,000 RPMs. You really do feel the car pull at that point. And then you can do a fake upshift and the car's RPMs will drop. It is a little more intuitive than what I've seen in like the Nissan products, where like I've driven my mother's Sentra and it has the ability to shift from the gear selector. It doesn't have paddle shifters, but this one definitely works a lot better than that Sentra's did. So with that being said, it is getting dark, and I'm sure you guys will be struggling to watch this one just due to the ability to see, right? I mean, all I'm seeing right now is I'm like a deer in headlights. Anyways, thank you again to Matt's camera for letting us have a go in his 2024 Impreza RS. Definitely check out his socials, which will be linked in the description. And thank you all again for watching. Please leave your comments and your questions below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.